Hello, my gorgeous people. These are all my thoughts and opinions based on all the information, public information out there in the public domain. These are and this is something that you can all Google. You can Google the legal acts of parliament, which are public knowledge. Okay, this is so from all of the information that's out there. Okay, these are all my thoughts and opinions, and I hope that we can talk about it in a very grown-up way without any sophistry. Before I begin though, so you know, the IRS has given BLM charity organization 60 days for them to justify the $60 million that have disappeared. These were donations given by people to the Black Lives Matter movement, which they have, from what it seems, squandered. They bought real estate property, they pocketed it. They haven't presented their receipts. They have 60 days to do so. And the original members who founded this in 2013, they're suddenly disappeared. And there's new people there. It's amazing how these people have capitalized and exploited something so terrible as racism and have created violence toward. This is my opinion, because they're riots. I have friends that were beaten up by people protesting the BLM, and they're still paying the medical bills, and they lost their businesses, everything. It's a nightmare. So yeah, I hope they come after Harry and Meghan too, because something is not right. Now, the title of this video is that Meghan owns Charles, Prince Charles, and I'll tell you why. Meghan, there's laws for people like private citizens and laws for royals. The reason why these laws and protocols and rules exist for royals is because these are positions that you don't earn. These are positions that you inherit, and because they have so much privilege, they have access to so much wealth, and it is a constitutional monarchy, which means it's part of the government because the monarch is the head of state. So there are more strict rules, just like in any job. The higher the job, if you're a CEO, there's more requirements placed on you than if you're working at McDonald's, for example. So basically, the monarchy is the top of the branch of the government because the monarch is the head of state. Now, the key word here is consent, because a constitutional monarchy is not an imposed one. It's not an absolute monarchy. It's there by consent of the people. Now, Meghan Markle, I don't know how many times she's been married, but we know that she's been married at least once to Trevor Engelson, right? Now, she married in a civil ceremony. I don't know where it was. It was Dominican Republic or Jamaica. I don't know, but it was one of those places. But she married in a civil ceremony. Yes, she was wearing white, but it was a civil ceremony. So the Church of England changed, I think it was in 2000 or 2002, allowed divorced people to remarry under certain rules. As long as one of those is that it's as long as if you're a divorced person and your divorce is not as direct consequence of an affair with the person that you want to remarry, you can be married again. If also one of the other things is that if you are married, if you were not married in another religious ceremony, because the process for that is for you to seek an annulment within the church or religious place that you got it. So, for example, if you were married in a religious church ceremony as a Catholic, then the Church of England asked that you first get an annulment from the Catholic Church, which it can be done. It takes a few years, but it has been done. It's done actually more often than you think. Okay, it may take to 10, almost 20 years, but it can be done. And sometimes you can speed it up if you have it. So once that is annulled and you meet the other requirements, then you can get married in the Church of England. Now, a royal, but not just any royal, it has to be senior royals, must be married by the Church of England. I'll read this out to you, and I will actually, you can Google it, okay, because I'm not very good with techie. Now, the 1836 Marriage Act allowed marriages to be legally registered in buildings belonging to other religious groups, which was a big thing because England was only Anglican. They only recognized Anglican. So they created this to be more lenient. Now, this is very important. The whole act of 1836, the whole Marriages Act of 1836, except, and listen to this word, except, sections 3, 17, and the most important one that basically concerns us is 45, was repealed by the 1949 Marriages Act, which amended hours of ceremony, the witnesses, the type of buildings that they can be in. So keep in mind that the whole act, the 1836 Act, was repealed by the 1949 Marriages Act, except for sections 3, 17, and 45. Section 45 states that senior royals cannot be married in a civil ceremony if they wish to remain or accede to the throne. If they wish to remain in the line of succession and accede the throne, in the case that they need to, for example, in the case Prince of Wales. Now, the 1949 Marriage Act was amended in 2019 to include other sections like homosexuals, gay, lesbian marriages. And then there was another amendment for the Protection of Freedom Act of 2012. That's it. The 1949 Marriages Act, still to this day valid. It was not repealed by the Registration Act of 1953. It's very important you know this, and you can Google it. It's over there. What this means is the following. Prince Charles went to the Church of England when he wanted to marry Camilla. They had a meeting in 2002. They met with all the clergy. Keep in mind that they understand the importance that it is a vital, it is the, and I am stressing this, it is the most vital and only way for a senior royal to marry and be able to remain in the line of succession and accede the throne, is to be married by the Church of England. Okay? The Church of England determined, they met Prince Charles, Camilla, the Queen, everybody got together, the archbishops, they talked about this. There was a meeting of the synagogue, I think it's called, and they determined that Charles and Camilla could not be married. If he wanted to marry Camilla, he could not do it. It would not be through the Church of England, because his relationship with Camilla was the cause of the breakdown of his previous marriage. That was the reason the Church of England gave for not marrying Prince Charles. So Prince Charles would have never, ever been married in the Church of England if he wanted to marry Camilla. That was out, which means that he wouldn't be able to be king. It means that he would eliminate himself from the line of succession, because that is the only thing that senior royals, it's a must. They must be married by the Church of England, because he has to be in communion with the Church of England. He is the monarch is the head of the Church of England. So if his marriage is not recognized by the Church of England, then his wife cannot, because civil marriages are not recognized in the Church of England to this day. Divorced people can marry in the Church of England if they meet the criteria. But if you're only marrying a civil ceremony, you cannot, the Church of England doesn't see it like that. For senior royals, okay? So that was out of the question. And Charles knew it. So what did he do? He went to this, he got the Queen's consent. Many of you are going to come at me, oh, but the Queen consented to that. The Queen gave her consent, conditional that the Church of England would do, like, that everything met. You know, like when you say, oh, the Queen gave consent, that's not the only requirement that needs to be met. All other requirements have to be met. And this is why the Queen was so angry with Prince Charles, because he lied to her. Okay? Now, and this is why the Queen was not present at the civil ceremony, because as the head of the Church of England, a civil ceremony is not recognized for senior royals. Okay, that's Article 45. That article, to date, it's still valid. No senior royals cannot marry in a civil ceremony and remain in line to the throne or be able to succeed or exceed the throne. That is still to this day valid. Prince Charles, the minute he signed that marriage certificate, he eliminated himself from acceding the throne. Tony Blair and the House of Lords actually said, you know, he can't do it. And it was a big uproar. Too bad that you guys, you know, you don't go back that far, but it actually was. And there were a lot of multiple articles. I will leave one here at the bottom, okay? The Lord Chancellor, people say, oh, but the Lord Chancellor says, okay, the Lord Chancellor cannot change the laws. He gave his opinion. And in his opinion, he stated that the 1953 Registration Act repealed the 1949 Marriages Act, which was proven to be false because the 1949 Marriages Act is still valid, including Section 45, which applies to royal marriages. But he said that in his opinion, the 1949 Act was repealed, which is not true. A Lord Chancellor cannot change the laws. It has to go through Parliament, just like everything else. Now, by law, Camilla shouldn't be styled HRH because her marriage is not recognized under the Church of England. And only marriages, royal marriages, which meets all the legal requirements. For senior royals, not a private citizen, senior royals are valid, and therefore titles can be given. But Camilla doesn't meet those requirements with Prince Charles. They married in a civil ceremony, which is not recognized for senior royals in the Church of England. The lawful thing to do is, Prince Charles is I don't even know how to explain this because I don't understand. And I know many of you will get angry with me. Many of you, oh, Paula, why are you bashing? Because Charles and Camilla, they're not breaking the law. They are entitled to be married any way they wish as private citizens. As senior royals, no. As senior royals, as I repeat myself, the minute Prince Charles signed that civil marriage certificate, he removed himself from the line of succession and from acceding the throne. Now, Tony Blair had the responsibility to call him out on it and tell him what they told the Duke of Windsor, or the King Edward back then, is either or. His buddy, Tony Blair, didn't do that in spite of repeated calls from Parliament. And only the Prime Minister can do that. And he refused to do it. Because Charles should have been told, if you want to marry Mrs. Camilla Parker Bowles, you're absolutely entitled to do so. But if you do so, you cannot accede the throne. That's it. And it goes to Prince William and his wife and his children. That is the law. Now, Her Majesty the Queen, and I don't think it's her who put that thing out, and this is a very personal opinion. I think this is all Charles, because now we have Tony Blair getting a knighthood, something like that he got, at a very suspicious time. Now suddenly the Queen is putting out that she wishes Camilla become Queen Consort. It is the first time in the history of the monarchy that a current monarch has to say that. But she didn't. I saw the newspapers. Oh, Camilla will be queen because the Queen said so. No. The Queen cannot declare it. And actually what she did was wrong, because it's not up to her to determine that Camilla is going to be Queen Consort or not. It should have been the Prime Minister who did that. So by her doing this, I don't know if she consulted with the Prime Minister or whatever, because it should have been consulted. It should have been the Prime Minister who does that. I believe this is Charles writing and putting a lot of pressure, because I don't believe the Queen is doing a lot of stuff right now. And all of this mess is a result of Prince Charles. Because for her to say that in that letter was almost unconstitutional, if you like to think about it. For example, when the Commonwealth people got together and she gave that speech that she wished that she wished that her son Prince Charles would be considered as the head of state of the Commonwealth. The reason why she uses the word wish is because she cannot declare it, because it's a constitutional monarchy and it requires consent. So don't think it's automatic. Don't think about that. That it's automatic. Yes, he will become king, but everybody has to consent to it, especially when you have a Commonwealth. So she didn't say Camilla, because whoever's advising the Queen or whoever wrote that for the Queen knows that Charles has a very, legally speaking, for a senior royal, cannot accede the throne. And legally speaking, Camilla shouldn't even be holding any titles. Camilla should not be HRH. Camilla should not be entitled to any titles. Now, many of you have said, oh, but she's earned it. Have you ever heard of the poison fruit of the poison tree? Do you know why Camilla and Charles are so unpopular? It's because where they're at right now is based on very, very bad actions, on destroying other people's lives. This is why people can't look at them and truly, honestly, be happy for them, knowing all the damage they have caused. And what they have right now, it's like enjoying fruits, fruits of the poison tree. And many of you say, oh, well, she's earned it. If we're going to earn titles, royal titles, or being on the throne, I think, and this is just my personal belief, there's two people that come to my mind. Princess Anne. This woman has earned to be Queen of England, not Prince Charles. Princess Anne is incredibly hardworking, doesn't put a foot wrong, no big deal, And Prince William. But the whole point of royalty is there's not meritocracy. You don't earn a title. Although some people are buying them from Prince Charles now, but which is illegal again. I am not saying these things. Yes, I don't like Prince Charles. Of course I don't like him because of his actions. He hasn't earned my love or respect. And lately his actions are even worse. Because he's using his mother. For example, he lobbied in Scotland for to have the Queen's private castles and properties exempt from the green energy bill, while he's telling everybody else to save the planet. But anyways, I digress. The point of the matter is, and please Google this. If you're going to come back at me, oh, but they love each other. It doesn't matter. And again, if we're going to go down that route, that Prince Charles and Camilla have always loved each other, it is also verified that the love of Prince Charles' life was not Camilla. It was a lady, an Australian lady, whose nickname was Kanga, who Camilla hated. Their letters that were published, because Prince Charles used to write her letters, and Prince Charles was having an affair with Camilla, Kanga, and Janet Jenkins that we know of. He was having three different affairs with three different women while he was still married to Princess Diana. And Kanga, she died, I think, in December 1997, 3 months after, or 4 months after Princess Diana. But the letters that Prince Charles sent her was that she was the love of his life, that he couldn't imagine life without her. It wasn't Camilla that he wrote those letters to. So that doesn't even apply. The reason why Meghan Markle owns them, and I'm saying Meghan, not even Harry, is because Harry knows this. Meghan knows this. Meghan did something very clever, which is she converted herself to Protestant in media or Anglican Church of England. She immediately, I mean, it was done at the speed of light that this woman did that, right? They had also a meeting again. All the Archbishop and the Church of England met to see whether Meghan Markle and Harry met the legal requirements for the church to be married by the Church of England, so their marriage could be valid and they could inherit titles, and their children could remain in the line of succession, because that is the key ingredient, or the key. That is the key thing, that in order for the senior royals to remain in the line of succession and the marriage be recognized in the Church of England, and their children, and in order to keep titles and get more titles, they have to be married in the Church of England. So Meghan, even though the rules of the church had changed, that now Meghan didn't need to change religions to marry Harry. It would have been recognized even if she was any other religion, but she didn't want to take that chance. So she changed her religion. I mean, this woman changes religions as she changes underwear. But she changed religion officially. She was baptized under the Church of England, and all of the hurdles for the marriage to be recognized in the Church of England were erased. So her marriage is watertight. And at the end of this video, at the end of this, I'll leave you on that. Please watch this, because it's a part of thing I'm going to leave, because Prince Charles faces another problem. He needs the consent of his 2 children for Camilla to be queen consort. But it shouldn't even be, because it is going to be discussed, and it is being discussed right now in Parliament. That legal hurdle, that legal problem that Prince Charles has, that his marriage to Camilla in a civil ceremony invalidates him from acceding the throne. This is why the Queen issued that letter, because there are ongoing discussions, and there have been for quite a few years about this, because there's nothing Charles can do, because the church has already said, no, we will never, ever, accept your marriage to Camilla Parker Bowles. His marriage, and he's going to be in the head of the church. So this is why the Queen is putting everything out publicly, because she's trying to, and Charles as well, with Charles, are trying to make it harder for Parliament to do their job, which I find appalling. Okay, I really do believe that the Queen is being manipulated by Charles, and Charles is still using his mother to fight his battles and to try to sort out his mess. Because Charles owed Tony Blair a knighthood, because Tony Blair failed to call him out on the marriage thing. Now, please, and now Meghan Markle, and I'm saying Meghan Markle owns Prince Charles, because Harry wouldn't be able to do this on his own. But he feels with Meghan Markle, it has emboldened him to do that. He knows he owns Charles, because if he opposes Camilla, or when the Queen dies, Harry writes an official letter and questions Prince Charles' ascension to the throne, he's done. So Prince Charles has to do everything and anything he can to keep Harry happy and his skanky wife. This is what the monarchy has reduced itself to be in the hands of a Z-lister, grifter, and an idiot prince. Please leave your comments. Check out the Marriages Act. I will leave the links for some of the articles so you can Google them. But you will see that the 1949 Marriages Act is still there. I will leave the link that says that the 1836 Marriages Act was repealed, and it's completely except for the sections 3, 17, and 45. 45 is the important part, which states that senior royals cannot marry in civil ceremonies if they wish to remain in the line of succession and accede the throne. Please leave your comments. This is not hatred. Yes, I do not like Prince Charles, but he has earned my disrespect towards him. Camilla, according to the law and according to the laws of the Church of England and the laws of the monarchy, shouldn't even be HRH and shouldn't even have access to titles. But let me know what you think in an intelligent way. We can use this platform to engage. Oh, you just hate Prince Charles, blah, blah. The reason for this is because so many illegalities are ongoing that we ended up with a Meghan Markle. Let me know what you think, beautiful people.
Editor-at-large says that in true Game of Thrones style, there could be a bit of a battle over the crown.
Charles can only make Camilla his queen with consent. It's not just the consent of the wider public in this country, but right around the world, in those Commonwealth nations where he will be head of state. And there are two other figures involved, Prince William and Prince Harry. He needs to get them on board too. I think if you asked William and Harry today, I think they would probably be split on their views. I mean, we know that Harry is semi-estranged from his father and the rest of the royal family. That is a problem which has not been solved yet. If he doesn't, then there is the kind of danger of going back to the sort of medieval times when the heirs to the monarch are sort of squabbling in the background because they don't like who's sitting on the throne.